The global digital and economic substrate is failing under its own weight. We operate within a planetary network that demands constant extraction because it is structurally incapable of seeing human and ecological value as a whole. This iceberg model illustrates the true cost of fragmentation. Above the waterline, a $7 trillion annual tax is paid in redundant compliance and grid upgrades. Below, a $348 trillion static stock represents extracted human and ecological value, never returned to its source. Global debt is not a moral failing or an unsolvable crisis. It is the predictable output of a fragmented architecture. The geography of this fragmentation is intentional. The intercontinental cables that carry global data follow the exact same extraction routes drawn by maritime empires 2 centuries ago. The technology changed, but the topology did not. Information flows into the exact same centralized physical bottlenecks where raw materials were once loaded. Today, the underlying digital infrastructure for 195 sovereign nations is controlled by a hyper-concentrated oligopoly of just 25 U.S. corporations. At the base of this substrate is Amazon Web Services, followed by Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud. Together, these 3 entities command a 63% share of the global market, forming a massive single point of failure. This concentration creates systemic fragility. These entities rationally optimize for their own resilience by externalizing operational costs onto the public. Reversing this requires a new coordination network built to complete value rather than extract it. That network is Zero Hive. This isolated node is point zero, the unfragmented truth of a human or ecosystem. Legacy systems apply reductionism, scattering identity across external ledgers into isolated categories. Each fragment carries liability, stacking 54,000 in consumer debt, national debt shares, and a global ecological mortgage. Beyond financial metrics, this produces an invisible tax known as time poverty. 47 minutes of human life are extracted daily, simply to manage and reconcile these disconnected systems. The Zero protocol addresses this through the sovereignty debt equation. Recomposing this layered debt does not require generating new fiat capital. It requires visually reuniting all of the fragmented pieces of the human being so their full value is recognized simultaneously. If the network requires no new capital injections, a specific mechanism must exist to locate and recompose this systemic debt autonomously. The autocatalytic engine is directed by the JADO compass, measuring jurisdictional, administrative, deprivation, and operational pull. It targets isolated nodes, like a suppressed energy asset. High deprivation signals hidden value. Reconnecting these nodes redirects trapped defensive spend back into the network as productive energy. Populations carrying the heaviest debt burdens are not treated as charity. They are the most valuable recomposable assets, pulling the network towards structural coherence. To maintain coherence, the protocol enforces cooperation through permanent mathematical visibility on a public reputation ledger. This is the cooperation calculus. Standing equals verified contribution plus reputation weight and focal sunk cost, minus the defection penalty. Selfish actions trigger this penalty immediately. Extracting value incurs a permanent, compounding reduction in standing that cannot be erased. Conversely, the network enforces the inverse reputation principle. Users with the highest historical fragmentation can build an unassailable reputation from zero through the continuous attestation of verified truth. The mechanics dictate an infinite game. Hoarding information is mathematically ruinous. Sharing and transparency become the only rational strategies for survival. Protecting the integrity of the ledger requires a governance architecture called dual sovereignty. This matrix outlines the protocol's 4 stewardship roles. The left side contains the steward and witness, for-profit entities interfacing with legacy markets. The right side holds the guardian and voices, strictly enforcing the external witness principle. Data remains at the source, queried, never collected. This structural tension leverages capitalist incentives for rapid scaling, while legally blocking those forces from capturing the underlying layer of truth. The ultimate failsafe of the Zero network is its programmed obsolescence. It is designed to dissolve its own centralized power structures. This gauge tracks the sovereignty emergence gradient, represented by the symbol phi. As individual nodes attest truth and cross from a state of 0.2 to an operational state of 1.2, the network's density and coherence multiply. Pacing quickens slightly. When the system achieves a critical threshold of phi greater than or equal to 3.0, a phase shift occurs. The corporate shells of the steward and witness are mathematically and legally triggered to dissolve, flattening the hierarchy entirely. Zyro is not a corporation engineered for perpetual expansion. It is a transitional protocol built to self-destruct its corporate framework the exact moment planetary decentralization is achieved. That mature state at Phi 3.0 marks a civilizational threshold the Constitution defines as the Great Work, the transition to a fully ecocentric economy. This visualization represents the planetary grid post-transition. Speculative fiat finance is replaced entirely by real-world physical capacity, mediated by non-speculative tokens functioning as watt as currency. These tokens are direct claims on coordinated physical energy. They flow across the network strictly to power planetary healing and human recomposition. Steady, final delivery. The $348 trillion weight of historical fragmentation is recomposed. Debt is converted into operational fuel for an ecocentric future. Stop solving, start completing.